All right, welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, we are diving into a trend that is sparking controversy and conversation. Black women marrying themselves. Lords. From singer Maya, who married herself in 2015, to sologamy pioneer Janet Downs, who started this in 1993. This movement is gaining traction, but what is really behind it? Is this self-empowerment? Or are these women battling something deeper like mental illness? Recently, a woman celebrated her 39th birthday by marrying herself in Tulum, Mexico, at a cost of nearly $4,900. This isn't just an isolated case. More Black women are walking themselves down the aisle because I guess the brother's not meeting them in their white dress, honey, exchanging vows and embracing a solo kind of love. But is this a bold declaration of independence or a sign that the lack of partners is driving women to drastic measures? So today we have the queens, honey, and our guest king. We have Lindsay Vertner, international mindset coach and speaker, honey, because we definitely diving into the mindset today. We have Marlo, TV and film producer, and Joe Corley, our guest king. All right, licensed therapist, mental wellness coach, and public speaker. I'm so excited about this topic today. Now, before we dive in, for those of you coming in or in the chat, please comment. Do you think these women are empowered or crazy for doing this? So I want to start off with, let's do we had a woman who got married and she was on Dr. Phil detailing her marriage or solo marriage experience. So I would like for us to take a look at that.
Hey, my name is Danny and I married myself on December the 10th, 2022.
Will you commit to never giving up until your dying day? Do you promise to give yourself grace? Do you commit to praying and finding the answers within yourself? Do you promise to value yourself?
Yes, I do. I overcame a lot of trauma and it inspired me to marry myself. I realized I wasn't living for myself and this wedding was my chance to start over. I spent $4,000 on my wedding. I had 9 bridesmaids.
I'm not the only one getting married today. You are too. So there is a bag in your chair with a ring in it.
At my wedding, I asked everyone else to marry themselves too.
I now pronounce you married to yourself.
People not treat me differently. They're thinking like, ooh, she can afford her wedding on her own. She's confident. She loves herself. That's right.
I say this to you, Danny, and to all of your guests. Let no one separate you from the love of yourself.
There is no such thing as overdoing celebrating yourself. Some people buy themselves a bag. Some people buy themselves a nice cruise. Me, I gave myself a wedding.
It's about the power invested in me as your friend. I now pronounce you a married woman. You may now kiss yourself.
Okay, so a lot to unpack here between the mirror and kissing yourself and all that. I was like, whoo, a lot to unpack here. So Lindsay, are women being driven to do this because, the men are not stepping up and marrying them? What's going on here? Is it they're not being met at the altar in their white dress like Jagged Edge would say? Like, what is doing it?
Listen, I feel like everybody's personal decision to marry themselves can vary. Like for some women, it might be that they aren't seeing some good potentials in the dating pool. For other women, it might be simply a form of self-expression. So we really can't like put them all in one vase or one category over here because everybody's reasoning might be different. Just like for people who actually get married to other people, the reasons for getting married might be different. For some people, it's a business transaction. For some people, it's for love. For some people, it's for security. So it's the same thing with marrying yourself. We don't know the personal reasons outside of the ones who posted it on social media.
That is such the truth. Now, I was feeling cringy watching that, as a single woman in her 30s. I felt cringy watching that. Marlo, did you feel the same? Were you like, ooh, girl, I don't know if I would do that? Is this something that you would encourage the girls to do?
I don't know that I would encourage the girls to do this. I don't know that this particular expression is even for me. But I applaud you, right? Because there's so much pressure on women in society to bag a man, right? Get you a husband, get that ring, right? There's so much pressure. And so to make up in your mind that I'm going to commit to loving myself and to do that publicly, and to spend money on it is, I mean, maybe it's a level of self-love. I'll never know because I don't think I'll go down that road, but it's certainly interesting that there are, this seems to be a trend that's picking up, and I'm starting to see more and more women making these commitments, and specifically women, right? Making these commitments to themselves. So if, you know, it, in the wise words of old Black people, if you like it, I love it, honey.
They usually used to say that though when they see you walking down the path where you're not supposed to go, but they know they can't really do anything. That's usually like the kiss of death as a comment, like, oh, if you like it, I love it. That means I don't really agree with you right now, but I'm gonna let you live your life. All right, so we have a guest king today, and we love when the fellas show up, honey. So fellas, if you ever want to join us on the show, feel free to sign up. We have Joe. Now, Joe, I'm excited because you are a licensed therapist, right?
I am.
Yes.
Definitely am.
I want your opinion now. I don't know if I want the licensed therapist opinion or the straight man opinion. What were your initial thoughts about women marrying themselves and even watching that video?
They might not differ too much. You know, as a licensed therapist, you know, I have to really, I don't know her story. Like, I don't know what she was been through with men before that situation, to drive her to that space. I know that we all seek human connection. So, I'm guessing she just been failed too many times over and decided you know, she was the best option for herself, I guess. As a man, I look at that and like, hey, you know, have at it, you know. You know, you're not looking for me, I'm not looking for you either. So I mean, it is what it is on that. But yeah, I really got to know her story to know what's going on with that.
If he ain't checking for you, you're not checking. People need to check for each other, honey.
Yeah.
Can I just say kudos to Joe, because a lot of the comments are saying, oh, they're crazy, it's got to be mental illness. But as much as mental illness is being more recognized today in this society, great. That's a great thing. We're also mislabeling a lot of things as mental illness. So I was wondering what he was going to say. Is he going to say, oh, they're crazy? Because we're going to have to fight.
Listen, I mean, Joe has his therapist license, honey. He is not no armchair YouTube therapist. He do this in real life. So.
Yeah, no. So I've seen a lot. You know, I see, you know, self-care, self-empowerment. I mean, that might be the journey she needs to be on in order to prepare herself for the next situation. You know what I mean? Automatically saying she's crazy without, you know, knowing. Now, is she seeing people that aren't there? And then we gotta have a different conversation. But but you know, her kissing herself, I'm okay with that. Let's do that.
I'm not okay with it. That was cringe to me. You kiss in the mirror. I mean, I'm all for women loving themselves, self-actualization, all of that. But come on, kiss. It seemed kind of, it was giving a little desperate vibe. So my next question is that I want to know if, as a man, Joe, if you was a single man, I know you're married, but if you were a single man and you found out a woman had self-marriage, you was on a date with her, but she's self-married, and you found out she did this, what would be the impression? Would your impression be, oh, this woman loves herself so much? Or would you think, oh my God, she's kind of desperate?
I would think if I want this woman, I got a lot of work to do because she has been through some things. Any woman that's taken the time to marry themselves, my first thought is you've been through some things. I don't think that's that's the first go-to. Like I said, we all seeking human connection. So if it got to the point where you can't find it, you fail so much in finding human connection, you got to marry yourself. What have you been through? So I know I got a lot of work to do.
Well, she did say in the video that she has gone through some trauma. So she acknowledges that, and she self-acknowledged that. So I guess that would be safe to say. But even the men, I knew the men were going to be like this. That woman is insane and delusional. Hi, Big Mac. So yes, I know the men are not feeling that. So as a single woman myself, I could just never see myself going down this path. But the dating market's kind of ghetto right now, so I understand it. But I want to definitely take a dive and to see like what else is really going on with that right after we take this break.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and review so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Okay, so what I want to also think about is there is a stat that by 2030, 45% of women are going to be single, right? By 2030. So do you think, Lindsay, the dating pool and dating market is failing us in the way that it's not allowing people to come as couples and to get married?
Now, this I do agree with because I feel like a lot of people are fantasizing what marriage actually is on social media and what relationships are on social media. We're posting the highlight reels like, oh, vacation and our cute matching outfits, and not showing all the struggles on what it took for y'all to get to that vacation, whether it was financial struggles, emotional struggles, y'all was fighting on the flight over to your vacation. And so a lot of people are getting into relationships not realizing that it takes work. But for me, I always say, like, choose your hard. Everything takes work. Everything takes effort and energy. You'll have seasons where things flow and come easily, but most of the time you got to put in some effort to get the output that you want. And so it takes work to be single. It takes work to be in a relationship. And we're very disillusioned by what that looks like due to the rise of social media and all these life highlight reels.
Exactly. And I think with social media, with everything being on display, this is why I keep my social media very refined. Because look, research shows that 65% of individuals who participate in unique personal life ceremonies like sologamy, word of the day, are significantly influenced by social media trends and a desire to share life milestones publicly. So Marlo, do you agree with that? Do you think that a lot of these sologamy trend and self-marriage is increasing because of the social media influence to show that you have reached a certain life milestone?
Absolutely. I think the worst thing that we gave ourselves was couple goals, right? This idea.
Or we need to be a power couple.
Listen, kill the power couple, okay? Because the appearance of a power couple, the appearance of couple goals, like Lindsay said, is just that, right? I keep a lot of my personal stuff really, really tight because it's not for y'all. It's not for y'all. It's for me, right? So a lot of that stuff, I keep it really close to the vest, and I wish that more people did that, right? But I can't dictate what the people do. But I think that couple goals and hashtag, Black love, it's great, right? It's really great. But the work involved in a happy marriage, the work involved in a successful coupledom and partnership is so far beyond hashtags and pretty pictures and AI and all of that stuff. That's all cool. But the reality of a relationship is it's work. And if you're not willing to finish your day job and then do the work of your night job, which is your spouse, your family, then don't get into it, right? Maybe you need to go be a sologamist. I don't know. New word of the day, right?
Word of
Maybe
the
maybe
day,
you need to
honey.
go
I didn't
and
even know that
engage.
word existed until today. I'm like,
You
what?
gave it to me, honey, because I did not know. But maybe you should engage in that if you don't understand that the truth of a relationship is two people coming together from two different walks, two different family histories and backgrounds, and trying to make that shit work is hello, a job.
You know what, Marlo? I'm glad you said that because I've been on some dates, honey, and sometimes I've left thinking, I was like, what these men think these relationships are about? Like they think you're just gonna get a wife appliance. It's gonna be some work in there. They think it's just gonna be cooked, clean, and be served 24/7. But all right, Joe. My thoughts are this. All right, I want to know if this is a way for women to get a participation trophy, right? I think these participation trophies that came out in like the 90s, 2000s is catching up to us because everybody, certain milestones, you just need to reach. And if you don't reach it, it's fine. You don't have to, have a whole self-marriage. If you just haven't gotten to the point of marriage, just accept that. Do you think this is a way of women basically getting their participation trophy and trying to feel included in a milestone that they've technically not reached?
No, I mean, and that's where I'm gonna lean into what the everybody else is saying. That is delusional. She straight up that is delusional. There is no participation trophies. None of that is a real thing. Now, if you need a moment to give yourself self-love, then I'm good with that. But to say that, oh, I'm married just like you married, that's delusion and at its highest. And two things can be true. You need that self-love, but and you're gonna give it to yourself. But listen, like I keep saying, we all desire human connection. That is what it is. We come out of the womb that way. So anybody telling themselves that marrying themselves can solve that problem for them is, I'm gonna go with the delusion on that.
Yes, honey, because I don't care, I can be single for a long time. I'm still trying to be booed up. I'm trying to be booed up by Christmas. Okay. I'm trying to be booed up for this cuddle weather that's on its way. Now, Big Mac says, I wonder how that works for your taxes. Good question, Big Mac, because I am a CPA and I am knowledgeable about taxes. And what I've always said to my ladies, you are what it says on your tax return. Okay. That's what you are. If you check single, you are a single woman. If you check head of household, that is what you are. Okay. If you married filing separately, you married, but y'all separated. That is the relationship status the government recognizes. So that is the relationship statuses that I recognize. Okay. So when you're dating and you're doing sologamy and all this other stuff, just know that is what you are. But yes, but I know we can be beating people up. She's an everyday person, but even celebrities, okay, even celebrities are getting in on this trend. And we see that coming from Maya. Maya reveals that she's in a sologamous relationship and has been happily married for 7 years. And she even spoke out about this. And we're going to take a look at that right now.
2020. Fresh into the pandemic on Valentine's Day, you married yourself for your music video, The Truth. Why did you do that?
Well, I think there's this narrative and a lot of questions that have come about in my career, especially in my later career. Why are you not married? Why do you not have kids? How come no one has wifed you up? There's been many proposals, etc. But what I wanted to convey was a different message. And also a real message for me, because of this fixation on marriage for women and men, and age, for me especially, and what that feels like. Not all women can have children. Yeah. Not all women want children. Not all men want children or want to be married, and that's okay. Everyone's lives are different. But marrying myself was not a physical ceremony. It was in the music video, and I think what happened in the press with just one picture and the fixation was shown. So why are people fixated on this idea? Because that's how we were raised in this particular society, that you're not an honest woman. Oh, you must be a liar if you're not married, or some man has not swept you off of your feet. From the early movies that we see, animated movies, where we have to give up a gift or a part of ourselves to live this happily ever life? I think not. So, what is it about this that is not resonating with me is the question. So, in a spiritual journey, and I'm always on one, it was about getting to the core of who Maya is and self-love and committing to myself. And what does that look like is the question. You can't obviously think you're going to attract anything good for you if you're not together. So this was about self-work, self-realization, self-love, self-boundaries.
I really love that interview with Maya, and I think she gave us a lot to explore here. Lindsay, Maya touched on women getting their value based on having kids and being married. And as a married woman who has kids, I want your opinion on childless, marriageless women and your thoughts about their value and having to defend that in society.
I think we make it very hard for childless and marriageless women because that's what we've grown up with. If you are a woman, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids. And if you don't do those two things, then something is wrong with you. And so I applaud any woman that knows that she doesn't want to be in a marriage, or especially knows that she doesn't want children, because how many times in the news have we seen, oh, mother has harmed the child or even unalived the child? And that is becoming more predominant these days as well, because these women who necessarily felt forced to have children for some reason and maybe didn't have the resources to do adoption or, give it to a loving family. Now they're taking care of this child that maybe they don't have the means for, maybe they don't have the mindset for, and they end up harming an innocent child. So I always say, the more you know yourself, the better. So to me, this is an extreme form of self-expression and a way to get to know yourself and just really value what you are, who you are, what you bring to the table. I wouldn't necessarily do it in this way, but listen, if it works, it works. But get to know yourself before you enter a relationship, before you decide to have children. And if you decide that it's not for you, then amen. I'm glad you decided before it happened rather than after.
Right. And Marlo, what I was thinking as well is, who is to blame here? Is it the patriarchy? But also, I've noticed as a single woman, there's this, the wives are over here and the single women are over here. Do women also reinforce that if you are not married or a mother, that you are not as valuable?
I think absolutely. I have been married. I am a mother, and I know that after my ex-husband and I split up, it took me 4 years to really be ready for a relationship, right? But I didn't give up on it because the relationship went sour. And I think that there is definitely segregation between married women. I mean, once you get married, people tell you, oh, you got your single friends, you got to back up from your single friends, right? That's part of the whole mythology of marriage, right? Is that you somehow have to be born again into the marriage. You can't just get married, right, and start a new life. You got to be a whole new creature when you get married and you're a woman. So there is definitely a lot of double standard that lives in the expectation of a married woman, the expectation of a single woman, the expectation on all women to get married. But I think that what Maya said about self-discovery and knowing who you are, I know that in the relationship I'm in, I couldn't be the quality partner that I am to him had I not gone through that 4.5 years of solitude and by myselfness, right? So I think that, don't be a serial monogamist like J-Lo. That's not good for anybody. Serial monogamy is not good. Sometimes
I think they said J-Lo's like Thanos because she stayed with a ring, honey. She got all them rings.
you got to back up from it sometimes and really learn who you are, what you bring to the table, what your attributes are, and how you can be assistive, right? Because like our king on the panel said, everybody desires that human connection, but nobody want a boat anchor. So you have to figure out how you can be an attribute to a person and vice versa, right? What do you need from a person so that you can continue to be your best self? I think all of that's important. And the pressure is real, ladies. And I'm sorry for y'all, but when you get 40, you're not gonna catch
Marlo was like, I'm sorry for you, ladies. I don't understand this. That's not the reality I live in. But for you girls, I'm sorry for you.
Listen, I can commiserate, but I'm not there.
Listen, be thankful you're not there. Listen, it's a cesspool all around. And I really want to dive in deeper into the mental health aspects of this with you, Joe, right after we do our break.
You want to grow your money and not blow your money, as Constance says, check us out at flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, programs, videos, resources. In 2024, there's no reason to be broke when there's information all around us. So get your money right. flynubianmoney.com.
Okay, get them coins together, honey, at flynubianmoney.com. Now, Joe, I know you are the licensed therapist, honey, because Joe have his receipts, honey. He is not no armchair psychologist, like these men with these mics on the internet, right? So he coming with the real. So, Joe, what I want to know is, in your experience as a therapist, have you had sessions with single women, single, childless, or unmarried women, and what were your interactions with those sessions? Did they open up to you and say they feel disappointed, they feel left behind? Do they feel a sense of loneliness and depression by the fact that they are not married, or they don't have children, or they haven't met that milestone? Because the data definitely shows that single women definitely tend to feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I have single women in my client base, and that is exactly how a lot of them feel. They have made themselves believe that they are incomplete in a lot of ways, and a lot of the depression and anxiety that circles and surrounds them comes from being single, from what they've been thought of or taught growing up, that they need to be in relationships in order to be happy. And then there's also just the aspect of being just lonely. Nobody wants to be lonely, but there is a perception in their head that they are not a complete woman unless they are, especially the ones that are single who have either been married or have children. There's a lot of back and forth with them about, am I living the life the way I'm supposed to live it? Am I okay? So oftentimes that's just me working through all the beliefs that they have and trying to make them see the truth about who they are, the situation they in. And sometimes a lot of it is them like blaming themselves for the dissolution of their relationships and marriages, and not giving any credit whatsoever to you just dealing with bums. But you also have to take accountability for that. You're dealing with bums, So I mean, it's a lot to it. But yeah, to answer your question directly, there's a lot of anxiety and depression that surround being a single woman, from my perspective of what my experience.
Right. And I think the studies also reveal that, right? I think the studies show that single women tend to have higher levels of depression, higher levels of loneliness, because according to the studies, single women report higher levels of loneliness and depression, which can sometimes drive them toward alternative forms of self-fulfillment like self-marriage. Now, as a single unmarried woman, I feel like I can talk about this topic because this is a reality that I live in. So I feel like I can talk about it. I do think that you will experience loneliness. And I think, to your credit, Joe, like you said, that is a natural thing to feel, because naturally as humans, we are wired for connection. But what I will also say is that there tends to be a lot of pressure. There tends to be a lot of pressure from other women. Like I said previously, like if you haven't had your ring yet, if you haven't been married yet, what's wrong with you? This is a wives club, even though some of them be having these raggedy marriages, girl, but they be having the most raggedy marriage, but they still want to look down on you for being single because you didn't choose a degenerate to be with a degenerate man. Sometimes you're single because you actually want a quality man, right? A high quality man. But I think that also familial pressure is another thing, right? Familial pressure, because even my parents, I have brothers. I'm the only woman. Why am I getting pressure to like find a man and they can thought and bob? Do you think there is a double standard between men and women in this area, Lindsay, where the women have to be married off, like, we in some Jane Austen novel, and the men can thought and bob forever?
Absolutely, there's a double standard. I mean, we see that in all things men versus women, because a guy, he can go out and soil his royal oats, just like Coming to America. That was his whole mission that he was supposed to be doing. But then let a girl do it, and she's a hoe. Like, dang. So you can freely do all these things. We can even take the situation with Cardi B and Offset. Which one's her husband? One of those. Okay, yes, that situation, because he's been cheating on her all these years, yet nobody is calling him to the table and holding him accountable. And then she says whether she actually did it or not is to be determined. But she says, I did sleep with someone recently. Now what? Back to him in response to him cheating. And everybody's like, oh my gosh. Oh no, she didn't. Meanwhile, she's been faithful all these years, up until the moment that she's done. Maybe she's really walking away this time, which I hope she is, but that's not my business. So there's absolutely a double standard, because women are expected to get married and have kids, and men are expected to get married if they want to. And if they don't, all right, I see you. You're still successful, even though you never got married.
Listen, are these men soaking their royal oats, or is it Quaker oats? It's probably it look more like Quaker oats to me anyway. But Joe, as a man on the panel, I don't want to beat the men up too much, but is this the men's fault? Is the men, like, we see decreasing marriage rates and a lot of men deciding that they don't want to be married, or they have the same complaints? I have brothers, I have male friends who say, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on my money. And if a woman come along, great. If not, I'm good, because the dating scene seems to be a lot of work to them, or they're just as frustrated as the woman. So is it the men's? How much of this fault is the men's fault of, like, we going our own way. We're not trying to wife up no woman right now. I'm not trying to lose half my money. And this is causing the women to be like, all right, there's no one partnering me now. I just have to marry myself.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a societal pressure too. Like with when you see men out here and why? Why?
What do you mean why, Joe? Why you say it like that? Like,
so I'm like, why?
Does benefit men, Joe? They get married men live 10 times longer, make way more money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Listen. I'm married, and I'm happily married. I love being married, but I also I got married many years ago. So like I'm almost 2 decades in with this thing. But if I was out here right now, I mean,
people now is too ghetto. The people
it's
now
wild out here. Yeah, it's wild. It's why. You know why? You know what I mean? Like you can get, and now like you can really collectively put together the woman you want by using like 4 or 5 different women to do so. And it is being allowed. I mean, tell me it's not being allowed. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, they go and buy one get one free, Joe.
Yeah.
With all this polygamy, buy one get one free clearance discount, and the woman's signing up for it. I mean, we've done this show.
Up for it. Yeah,
we've done this show. We've had videos of women offering to pay for their own wedding, or pay a guy to marry them. We're watching a video of women marrying themselves. Is it a thing with the women that they're so stuck on this marriage fantasy that they will not let it go? We will not do. Do they really just want a wedding? Do they really just want the fantasy so bad that they're willing this is their response to that, because the men aren't stepping up and marrying, not a lot of them.
It is a fantasy, and but like I said, I didn't get married in the social media era. So if you look at, people are going to social media and they are buying into the fantasy, not knowing that even these celebrities are just humans. They real people with real problems, and it's not, it don't look all as good as it may seem. So like, you trying to invest in the fantasy, and there's a certain standard now that a lot of men are being held to in order to be what's considered husband material. And, a lot of them, I mean, there's the conversation about what is a quality man. A quality man don't got to do all the things that I guess a man of less quality would have to do. I mean, this is not me talking. This is what the conversation that I hear back and forth, like, I'm a quality man, meaning I don't have any kids. I got a decent job or a good job. I'm somewhat decent looking. Then
that's the baseline. That's the floor. No, I mean,
is it? Is it? Is it?
I guess depending on which woman you fall in line. That to me is the floor.
Okay, so yeah. So
you all right. You have a job. You said, what was the character? You have a job.
No kids.
No kids. Okay.
And what else? And somewhat decent looking.
Listen, was that
a man like that? You send a man like that outside? It's up.
Listen, Marlo. All right, Marlo, come in. We need reinforcements. Joe playing with us right now. Joe, I was with you most of the episode, but we done kind of left. Marlo, does that really sound like a quality man to you, or is that baseline?
I mean, listen, what I will say, and what Joe is echoing what social media says all the time, right? Those are the qualities that they list. I haven't heard not one personality trait. Right? I haven't heard one thing about the description of that man that Joe described, that people on social media describe, that says he's a good man, that says he's going to treat me well, that says he's going to help and work with me to integrate our lives together so we can have quality of life, right? So I think that all of the lists, I want y'all to retire the lists. I want y'all to just retire the damn list, right? Because what works for you ain't necessarily gonna work for me. A quality man is a man that wants to be with me, right? He wants to be my partner. He don't want to dominate me. Right? Just a little nasty. We heard that.
We will have After Dark later tonight, Marlo, if you want to come through.
Listen, but he wants partnership. He wants relationship. He wants companionship, right? He wants to take care of me when I got the flu, the same way he wants me to take care of him when he got heat exhaustion because he works outside, right? We need to be thinking about the complementary piece that's going to improve the quality of our lives, and not so much worried about what my wall pictures look like on Facebook. Because if you go to my wall on Facebook, you think I'm a troll. I'm barely there in my face, right? So I think that people just need to relax the list. You need to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, get out my damn business and get your own life, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're just in a place where everybody wants to be their best self by mimicking the next person's imitation of their best self. So, just retire the list, y'all, and just meet people in the wild like we used to do.
Listen. And that's the only way I date. I don't do apps because the apps, listen, I can't. People be lying on there. They got their old hairline on there, their old everything on there. I was like, I can't.
Old hairline.
There is nothing wrong with a hairline, right? I would date a bald-headed man in 2 seconds. My problem is when you put your picture up, like you have Fabio hair, and then you showing up on a date, and that's not the reality. That's not the reality. But see, that's why I've gotten off of dating apps, because that solves that problem. Because I'm gonna meet you in the wild. I prefer to meet in the wild. I want to see if you're gonna cross the room and have the confidence to talk to me.
Let me say this though. So you what you're saying, Athena, is your standard. You're up here on, like, let's say floor number 8. So I'm like, I don't, these quality men I'm talking about that you say, this is not enough for me. So you have to do all these extra things in order to get to level 8. I'm going to stop on level 7, where it's 10 women who don't need me to go to level 8. to do
So,
all of
so
those
Joe, you
things.
saying I'm keeping myself single because of my?
You lonely on
I haven't even
my
put a
girl.
number out. I haven't even. I'm just talking about just base. Just be honest. Just be honest with what the representation is. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I believe you. If you are level 8, then stay at level 8. You know, I'm just saying that. You know, there's a bunch of guys are gonna stop at level 7 and get.
You know what? And to quote the wise Aries queen Aretha Franklin, a man will always rise to the occasion. So if you can only rise to level 7, I'm on level 8, baby. That's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm with you.
You where you supposed to be.
Hey, some won't get off of level 1. There's a lot down at level 1 that'll take anything.
Ooh.
Level 1 is not. Don't go at least.
You know, a man did tell me once that certain men, certain women, they have just to mop the floor. That was the metaphor, to mop the floor. So and then there's a woman that they give the keys to the building. So you decide which one you want to be, ladies. I guess a lot of the ladies decide, it's not worth it to me, so I'm just going to marry myself at this point. Now, Lindsay, I want to ask you a question. The statistic is that around under 30% of Black couples are actually married. Do you think with this growing trend in sologamy that marriage is going to be reserved as an elite status in the future?
No, not necessarily. I wouldn't agree with that. I think it's just more so of us finding ourselves and deciding what it is that we want to do, because I know a lot of Black marriages. I think I probably know more Black marriages than I know white marriage. Now, let me take that back, because I ain't did no count and I don't want to put no false stats out there. But I say that to say I know a lot of healthy and happy Black marriages. Are there some negative ones? Yes, but I also know some negative other racial tones of Black marriage. It wouldn't be Black if they were other. Listen, I'm fumbling my words all over the place, but I know some white people, there we go, that aren't in healthy marriages equally as Black marriages as well. So I don't know about that stat, because I know the people that I'm around, at least, they have healthy and happy marriages, and the ones that aren't married do have a desire to become married as well. And a lot of them married to Black counterparts in that desire. So I don't know where that come from.
Well, I want to actually throw this question to the chat, right? Do you think marriage is going to be reserved for the elites in the Black community? So as what Tyler Perry would call the highbrow Negroes. Do you think in the future marriage is going to be seen like a status like that for us, since the majority of us are just not married? And I want to see you guys' comments right after we take this commercial break.
Hey, if you're just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. I am Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I am the proud producer of this show. So I hope that every day when you join us, you leave a little smarter than you came, because that's the point. Otherwise, why are you watching? So if you want to receive notices for when we go live, Fly Nubian Money goes live every single day. That's Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you don't know, now you know. All you have to do is text the word Queens, that's Queens, that's Queens, to 87948. That's 87948. That's Queens to 87948. Yes? If you want.
All right. So I want to actually bring it back to the pioneer of this sologamy. I'm just going to marry myself, bump these men. They're not proposing in time. Joe said they're stopping at level 7. So I need to, just go ahead and do what I need to do. And we're going to take a look at Janet Downs. So Janet Downs, that was a dress. Black on a wedding. Okay, girl. With the mirror. Okay, girl. In 1998, it was about to be her 40th birthday, and she had a wedding theme planned for the party, and everybody thought she was crazy, and I'm not surprised that they did, right? But she got tired of seeing everything in the stores that was related to 40 being in Black, so she decided to poke a little fun at society because she didn't feel old at the time. That, coupled with the fact that after 19 years of adulthood, she was finally at the place in life where she was happy every aspect of herself, right? So apparently it was just a party, It was just a themed party that she had to celebrate herself. And this is my thing, right? I am all for women, wanting to lean into their purpose, focusing on themselves, choosing themselves, self-actualization, right? I feel like you can throw a party. I can throw a party tomorrow to celebrate that. But why a wedding, right? Lindsay, do you feel like are the men right in the aspect of girls just want a day, like a wedding day, and they don't really care about the marriage? Is that what we see with this like sologamy trend? Because I have to call us out a little bit now. I know I like to beat up on the men a little bit, Joe. I'm sorry. But I have to call out the women. Are we just focusing on the day? Do we just want to get dressed up in a white dress and be seen?
Okay, so on the one side, I do agree with that statement. I do feel like a lot of ladies, like I mentioned earlier, are fantasizing that idea. Like a lot of people want the party, but don't want the work after the party, as far as what it takes to make a marriage successful. They want the big day, because if we think about it, a lot of times the wedding is often focused on the bride. It's supposed to be a day for the bride and the groom, but often it's, what does the bride want? Oh, the bride picks all the things. And so it kind of is her day. And we will even say it's the bride's day. The groom just shows up. So there is that piece of it. But there's also men doing this as well. So what would be their excuse? And if we're going with this line of thinking, because there have been men that have married themselves. And actually, did he not do it before? Look, there's Dennis
Rodman. Lord Jesus.
He did it before Janet Downs, because I think his was in 96. Yep, right there on the screen, which is 2 years prior to 98. So she wasn't the first. She might have been the first woman, but there are men that have been doing this as well. So we can't use that same logic to say, oh, it's because they want a party. Like I mentioned earlier, everybody's reasoning might be different.
Dennis Rodman is an outlier and crazy as hell. But Joe, I want to pivot that to you. I want to highlight this comment by Dr. Derwin Warren. They want the ring and to floss with it on the gram and throw it in their friends' faces. Do you agree with that, Joe? Do you think that a part of this, self-marriage trend is because the women want to be seen, they want to have, floss, want to look like they're chosen, want an actual wedding experience and a day versus, focusing on maybe I just need a matchmaker to actually find a man and get married for real?
I find it hard to believe that a woman is marrying herself so she can floss to her friends. I don't think that's the flex that that we're not gonna get that credit as a flex. I don't think any woman is gonna look at you like, girl, you married yourself. Hey, I want to do that too. So you just so sleeping by yourself? How you taking care? No, none of that is a flex. So I don't know why I really don't know. I really have to really sit down with a woman who married themselves or wanted to marry themselves and really explore as to, what is the gain from that situation. Because I just don't see, the upside to that other than, having a moment that celebrates almost like your birthday, like on your birthday, you celebrate yourself and you enjoy that and you love that attention. So I can see why anybody would enjoy that. But as far as like flossing a ring that says I'm married to myself, that is not a flex in any kind of way. And I don't think any woman would envy another woman who's doing that, honestly. That's just my opinion. But
Listen,
y'all tell me, is that something to be
No.
envied?
Listen, I already told you as a single woman, I be getting shunned because I'm not in the wives club yet, soon. But not yet. So, Marlo, I want to ask you, how is that different from? I've seen women on the gram. I've known women. Oh, it's my birthday. I'm gonna do this whole sexy lingerie photo shoot and post it up on Instagram. Is this in the same realm as that? Like, do we just want to be seen so bad?
I'm a creative, not a clinician, so I don't know. But I will say that we just live in this age of you got to show everything, right? And so if you have what they say is a biological clock that's ticking and you ain't, fertilized no eggs, and you got this age clock that's hovering over you, and you got people saying, oh, a woman over 40 isn't desirable to a man, right? And you're approaching 40 or you're over 40. You have all these exterior noise coming at you. And so I think that definitely influences it. What I would like to know though is, are these women now off limits to dating, right? Like how deep is the marriage?
I'm curious. Do you bring this up on it? By the way, I'm self-married.
So
I did ask someone. I asked my brother about that and other people, and one of the comments was, if I was on a date with a woman and she was self-married, she had to tell me that after I'm in love with her. Like she would have to tell me that after I'm definitely in love with her. She tell me before, it's going to be a no.
It'd be a deterrent if he knew that.
Yeah, it'd be a deterrent. He'd look at her. She said he would look at her crazy and not go along with that.
And you want to see the response to somebody saying I'm self-married on a date?
Listen.
Joe said a man is out. Because what is this, right? What has happened with you? And in all fairness to men, I think a man that backs up and leaves the table and says good luck is probably doing the best thing, because are you equipped as a man to adequately love a woman who has gone so far to make a commit? Like, I'm committed to myself. I ain't have to do a ceremony to be committed to myself, but I'm committed to making good decisions on my own behalf. I'm committed to loving myself over my love for other people. I'm committed to doing things that make me happy, right? So I'm already married to myself. I didn't give me a ring. But it's like, how far does that commitment go is what I'm wondering. Like, are you now off limits to men?
And that's a lot of money. $5,000 to just marry yourself, girl. You could have like
more on birthday parties than that.
Listen,
I'm not here to throw parties for other people anyway. So a party where I'm kissing the mirror, honey, shower. That's after shower activity.
Kissing the mirror. That's a lot. That's a lot. Kissing the mirror is a lot. That's the part that cringes me out the most. But you know what? Rodman did the self-marriage thing to cause a stir, to promote his book. And it worked, right? He was like, now I know the black man go black. Don't be using him as an example for us. We're not using him as an example, but we are showing that this is not something that is completely out of the norm. And obviously it caused a stir. And I think because also, I mean, he got a little wig on. So, I think he was ahead of his time, because if you look at half the NBA, a lot of them starting to look like that now, to be honest with you.
Listen, he wasn't the only male, because I know some of the comments were like, oh, yep, and he's the only one. And y'all know, I looked it up. There have been other men that have also married themselves, a Filipino American, a Brazilian man, some guy in Las Vegas. I mean, Google is there for you, okay? You can Google that too.
Were they black though? Besides Robin, were they black?
The Brazilian man was Brazilian. Kevin Noddle was a Filipino American, and then the one that's readily available, because I'm sure if I did some more Googling, I could probably find some more, but we ain't got time for that. It doesn't say the background of the one who did it in Las Vegas, because he saw it as a sign when he was visiting Vegas. But long story short, Rodman wasn't the only male to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense for him.
Very on brand.
Very on brand. Yes, very on brand.
No one pays attention to the hard work that you're doing unless you hasn't. Like, if you did the exact same thing that he did without the antics, that person probably would not be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So it makes sense for him.
So Marlo, Tony Smith says marriage is not a flex unless the man is a provider and supporter. So she basically saying, like, unless your man actually doing something, because some of y'all falling down behind the scenes, that marriage is not a flex. Do you agree with this?
So what if he providing and bopping you upside your head? Like, a quality person is a person that is treating you well. Like, obviously we all got to pay bills. We all need to survive. What everybody needs to survive is different. But I'm not sitting here praising a man who, and a lot of men feel like this. I know a lot of men personally who feel like this, who feel like as a provider, they could do whatever they want. So I don't know. Listen, make your own rules. How about that? How about we make a new rule that everybody makes their own rules, right? And what works for you works for you, and don't impose that on other people, because that's how we get here with the people marrying. I mean, I don't know about the men and the man being in Vegas and marrying himself. It's like, honey, you could have found somebody to marry you in Vegas. That's crazy.
Maybe maybe they're lazy. They don't want to do the work. It's too hard to date. Let me just marry myself.
And listen, some people are like that. They're okay with not knowing they don't want to do the work.
He wanted to stay at level 1, and he did a level 1 thing, right?
I love these levels.
Yeah.
I want to draw this comment to Trust No TV. This is for you, Joe. Beta males cosplaying. Alpha males don't play games about marrying women and building family structure. Do you agree with this statement, Joe, as the man on this panel?
Yeah, I pretty much do agree with that. Like when you know, and we don't like, you don't play games around this type of stuff, you know. And if you're not a man that wants to get married, I know plenty of alpha males who don't get married, but don't be in the streets lying and manipulating and, you know, deceiving women either. So I mean, we just don't play games about that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, I agree with that comment.
All right, and before I move on, Joe, because I know a lot of the ladies are watching this, and I know a lot of us been on this 12 years, not me, but a lot of us been on this 12 years a slave timeline with men. You being a man, and this is why I love it when you guys come on the show. What is a timeline that is appropriate from dating to we in a relationship, and then from in a relationship to marriage, as a man who, for a man who is serious about you?
Man, I think that's really a personal thing. But for the most part, I feel like if you are going like more than a year, then and one of you is like the woman is serious about wanting to be a wife and getting married, and it's been over a year. I think you start to have some hard conversations in a real way, because what are you waiting for? You know, what are you actually waiting for? And maybe you're just not prepared to be married. And if it's the case, then that conversation needs to be had. But when I start hearing people talking about we've been engaged for 3 years, y'all not getting married, bro.
Yeah, basically.
Married, sweetheart.
I was told 6 months. A man knows within 6 months. And my experience, since I've been proposed to a few times, since, you know, some people was trying to question where I was at with that. It falls within that timeline. Men know within 6 months to a year for sure.
Oh man, I think they know faster than that, honestly. Now it's just about getting over the anxiety of actually being, you know, married is what you have to come to terms with. But I think you know faster than that. Whether or not you found your one. That's for sure.
See, Joe done said a word today. Okay, so if you are on a 12 years a slave boyfriend timeline, listen to what Joe said now. Listen to what Joe said. 2 years is too long. 2 years is too long. But anyway, all right. So our divorce rates are really even when you're married, because apparently this London woman married herself, files for divorce because she boarded herself, honey. So do you actually go through what if you marry yourself, do you have to go through paperwork to divorce yourself now?
Oh my goodness.
Listen.
You fired as the client. That's coming in I'm sorry. We're gonna have to. Well, I'll give you some referrals. We'll see if we can find somebody that can help you.
Lord, the madness. I feel like the longer I live, the more crazy the world starts to look to me, and I have to be like, wagwan. But all right, so we have definitely been, giving you guys such a good perspective on marriage. Everyone in the comments, you guys have been so great. Be sure to like and subscribe if you love what we're doing today. This has been such an engaging conversation. But Lindsay, I'm going to pivot to you. I want you to share your final thoughts with us. Where can the good people find you so they can learn how to live a first-class life?
Yes. So my final thoughts is going to reference it back to a comment. I believe it was Aaron H. that said it, But he said about one of the ladies of the videos that we shown that if she had to go see a therapist, then she must be crazy. And we have got to get rid of that narrative. That's why people don't want to go to therapy and take care of their mental health now, because we have this stigma that if you have a therapist, then you are crazy, which is absolutely not true. I believe that actually everyone should have a therapist, because it's going to help you to grow. It's going to help you develop. It's going to help you to heal past traumas and figure out who you are. Speaking of which, let me give a little bit of advice. Do your best to heal yourself and grow yourself and figure out who you are before entering a relationship as much as possible, because that's going to help you save a lot of heartache and pain down the line. But I'm all for the self-love and the self-worth, however you see fit. But listen, we got to get away from that narrative that if you have a therapist, you're crazy, and that these women are crazy, because we don't know their stories. We don't know their backgrounds. We don't know their mental health to be labeling them crazy. So my name is Lindsay Vertner, international mindset coach and speaker, and you can find me at liveafirstclasslife.com.
Listen, right? Because, I found the people who are most resistant to therapy need to be there, right? Need to be in there, right? And we're going to segue to our therapist, Joe. Where can the good people find you? And please share your final thoughts on this topic today, Black women marrying themselves. And give us some relationship advice too, since you are a therapist.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. That's my name, or Facebook, or my website, consulting.com, and reach out for whatever, whether it's a session or public speaking engagements. And I will say this, the dating pool is legitimately bad right now. I mean, it's just what it is. And it's bad because there's so many unhealed people out there right now, searching and bumping into each other and, putting themselves in toxic situations. So the best, I guess, advice, and I don't like to give advice, but the best thing I can say you could do for yourself is be vulnerable, work on your own healing. And that is probably the only method you have to protect yourself from what is considered a bad dating pool. You have to show up as your most authentic self and give people an opportunity to fall in love with the truest version of you. And, when they get to the point where things start getting complicated, you can always say, hey, I never lied. I showed up how I was. And then, when you do that, you encourage your vulnerability, encourages vulnerability. Your empathy encourages empathy. So the people around you start feeling safe, being vulnerable, being empathy. And then you get an opportunity to see the truest version of the people that you're with. Now, some people are, serial liars. So don't take what I said and just be thinking that, if I be real, everybody's going to be real with me. But there are people that are just looking for a safe space to be vulnerable. And, that it all starts with you. Heal your little corner of the world and let that trickle out to the people around you.
Oh my God, Joe, I'm so grateful you're on the show today. I'm like, yes, it's this type of man I want on the show. Such good, solid advice. This is why you got to stick to the profession. That's why you need to see that degree hanging up on the wall, because that's how you know the advice is going to be solid. Now, Marlo, Queen Marlo.
Can't believe you make me follow Joe.
Oh, yeah. All right. Share with us your thoughts about today, and where can the good people find you?
I think don't succumb to pressure, right? We were taught when we were kids, don't bow to peer pressure because it's gonna make you do bad things. Peer pressure still exists in adulthood, and so I think that avoiding feeling less than when you see things on social media, checking out of social media if you feel like what you're seeing is not a great reflection of where you want your life to be. But I think that we get swept up in this social media cycle, and in the rules of dating and relationships, and none of it really matters, right? Like Joe said, lead with your authentic self. They say that what you put out is what you get back. And so hopefully if you're being authentic, somebody will come along and they'll be being their best authentic selves. and you all can find, maybe long-term friendship, maybe lifelong love, like who knows, but definitely come out of the gender wars, pull yourself out of the meme life and the gift life and the soundbite segments that are driving everybody crazy and keeping these conversations going on social media. If you're looking for me, I'm probably dragging government officials in the state of Louisiana. I create content, video, and written under my name, Marlo Layson. You can also find me on Instagram. I am Olram Marlo. That is my name backward, forward, and a little underscore on the end.
Listen, I feel like this was such a good panel today, such a good topic today. The dating pool is a little contaminated, but like Joe and everyone has said, that, showing up as your authentic self is going to help attract that. And I think that is something that we definitely need to work on, especially with, the divide that I see a lot of us have and even experience, is that everyone is kind of this mentality of like selfishness and not a lot of authenticity and reciprocity. So I feel that when you show up that way, at least you'll be able to identify something as well. Lindsay, you say you wanted to say something really quick.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that who we attract and what we accept when we're broken is not going to be the same thing as who we attract and what we accept when we're healed, which takes me all the way back to that reason that we need therapy, we need self-development and self-growth so that we can bring our same version, so we can attract the person that we truly desire to spend our lives with.
And that is a word. That's what I love when we have mindset coaches and therapists and just people with common sense on the panel today, giving you guys, let us be the one place in YouTube where you can actually get real, authentic, good advice. Now, my final thoughts are this. I hope that everyone enjoyed the show. Women, I know we are kind of on this 12 years of slave timeline. People talking about 2-3 years, people talking about different floors, all of that. At the end of the day, you need to know yourself, know what you accept, and know what is best for you. You do not have to prove anything to anybody. You do not have to qualify for the unqualified. You do not need to have a big wedding party to be seen and deemed as worthy, because your worth and your value is within. Whether or not somebody wants to participate in that is another question, right? But you have to, as yourself, know that you do not have to prove a point by marrying yourself and divorcing yourself and all this nonsense, right? If you are a woman, though, and you want to live your best goddess life, you can find me at wewealthwomen.com, on all my social medias at wewealthwomen, and listen to the great advice that I give on my podcast, the We Wealth Women podcast. Now, today has been a lovely, lovely show. We have discussed all the things. And, remember that at the end of the day, do what is best for you, whether it's sologamy, monogamy, polygamy, okay, buy one, get one free. Do what is best for you in this thing. We are Fly Nubian Money. We are available to you Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we are going to do an After Dark show with me and Erica discussing Diddy, all the baby oil, and Down Low Men. So if you're interested in going into the abyss tonight, that is where we will be. Also, a lot of us queens are going to be at the All Black National Convention this year at October 25th to the 27th. If you want to see us queens live and actually be a part of our B1 reunion family, we would love to see you as well. Make sure to text the word queens, that is QUEENS, to 87948 to join our text community so you do not miss a thing. We bring the fire and we talk about these juicy topics. You don't want to be left out. Make sure you text us queens to 87948. I'm Athena, and these are your queens and our gent with Joe, okay? And yeah, we hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here.